people of the world! Do you know what time it is? It's music time. We are so pumped up to the jam to have you with us. I am Morgan Mitchell, and with me as always is Tanner Grover.
What's up, Morgan, and what's up, universe? You are indeed tuning into a podcast where two friends who love music, yet have virtually no musical acumen, take a deep dive into the vibes that really make us jive.
That's right, because if there's anything that unites us all, it's music. An audible sensation. To live without it is simply deprivation. So, we're here to hear and to share a little slice of a subject that gives us life.
Tick-tock, tick-tock. Are y'all ready to rock? Tell me, friends, what time is it on your clock?
It's music time! Welcome, 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 one and all, to It's Music Time. My name is Morgan Mitchell.
And I am Tanner Grover. And this is what we do. And today, we are doing it with
Kyra Teboe.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome, Kyra. We're so thrilled you're here.
Thank you.
Want to talk a little bit about Kyra just for a second before we hop onto the game?
Yeah, Kyra is a virtuoso, a prodigal piano player, hailing from Brunswick, Maine. But today, Kyra, where are you coming from today?
Yeah, I'm actually in Alcalá de Henares in Spain, which is a little bit outside of Madrid. I'm about to start a master's program in Madrid, but I can't move into my apartment until like a couple weeks from now. So a friend of mine lives in Alcalá and told me I could stay in her guest bedroom, and I'm in her office right now. So that's where I am. But
couch surfing in Spain, I love it.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So, Kyra, we're going to get more into all your endeavors in a little bit, but we like to open up every episode with a little game. So, Morgan, what game are we playing today?
Great. So today we're going to play a game called Pop Piano Prodigy. Answer is either Alicia Keys or Lady Gaga. So I've got to just say, Tanner is the master of this game. Tanner orchestrates this game, research to find these random bits of information on the internet. And I just want to just give you like a shout out because these games are pretty top. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. Tanner, what's the question number one?
All right, question number one. Which pop piano prodigy's first CD that they ever bought was Stevie Wonder's 1976 album, Songs in the Key of Life? Was it Alicia Keys or Lady Gaga?
Ooh, and I have to answer. That is how this works. I don't know. It should be both of them, I think. I don't know. I mean, that's like the best record ever. I guess I'm just gonna guess Alicia Keys, R&B sort of style, but honestly, either. I could see either. But
there was a noble guess, and your first instinct was right. It probably should have been both, but it was in fact Lady Gaga.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I agree with you. That's one of the best records of all time.
Yeah.
Wow. Question number two. Which pop piano prodigy has appeared on the cover of Vibe, Vanity Fair, 17, and Teen Magazine? Was it Alicia Keys or Lady Gaga?
Again, both. Like, what the heck? Okay, this is hard. I'm just gonna guess Alicia Keys.
Correct.
Okay, amazing. Perfect.
Number three. What's up, Tanner?
Which pop piano prodigy attended Catholic school in New York City with classmate Paris Hilton? Was it Alicia Keys or Lady Gaga?
I don't know. I probably should know where Lady Gaga's from, but I know Alicia grew up in New York City. I don't know. Alicia Keys, just gonna guess, but no idea, honestly.
Very close.
It was Lady
Gaga. Okay.
Gaga, Paris Hilton, just prancing around Catholic school.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough.
All right, number four. Which pop piano prodigy almost chose to debut with the stage surname Wild? Was it Lady Gaga or Alicia Keys?
Gonna guess Lady Gaga here, but I could be wrong.
It should be both. Like, this is an unfair game.
Yeah.
By the way, you're winning. But it was Alicia Keys.
Oh, wow. I never knew that. Okay.
Yeah,
I've got to read more about that.
Yep.
Yeah, her mother told her it would be a bad idea to go by Alicia Wilde, said it sounded a little too exotic. So,
Okay.
smart move, I think.
Yeah.
I like both of them.
Last question. Which pop piano prodigy is an experienced martial artist practicing capoeira, boxing, jeet kune do, Shaolin Kung Fu, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Is it Alicia Keys or Lady Gaga?
Yeah, well, I have no idea. Truly no idea. Well, I don't know. Maybe, okay, I haven't seen either of them live, but I don't know. I know Lady Gaga has some kind of like complex choreography sometimes. I think maybe as far as little as I know, maybe Lady Gaga. I'll guess her. Why not?
Yes!
Lady Gaga.
That's so cool. Wow. Okay.
Gaga.
Yes.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, this game is a fun way to get some random factoids out into the universe.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's, yeah.
But, you crushed it.
I'm so curious.
You crushed it. All right, so that wraps our game.
It does, yeah. And before we go on, the other thing we like to do with all of our guests is we like to illuminate them on the #1 song on the Billboard charts the day they were born. So, Kyra, you came into our lives on December 5th, 2000. Do you have any idea what the #1 song was the day you were born? Would you like to guess?
I don't know. I will pass guessing because my pop music knowledge is so ridiculously low that I don't think I can have any sort of like educated guess here. But
and also, to be fair, when you were born, you probably weren't listening to the charts either. So I mean,
that's
I
fair.
think
This is true. That's true. Okay.
All right, what was it, Tanner?
It was Independent Women Part 1 by Destiny's Child.
Oh, I love it. Okay, amazing. Wow, that makes me happy. It makes me really happy.
Power song. December 5th, 2000. That's a great birthday. We're all December babies, actually.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Tanner's the 28th, I'm the 31st. So
nice.
December power. All right, so now I'm going to move on, if it's okay with you, with just a little bit of your bio to tell folks about who you are and all the magic you're up to. And then, as Tanner said, if there's things we missed or things you want to correct or edit or embellish, like, please do. So I'm just going to take a second to chat a little bit about the amazing person you are. So Kyra Teboe is a pianist who primarily considers herself to be a jazz musician, but whose ultimate goal is to become an in-demand musician in the global jazz fusion scene at large.
Yeah.
Her greatest passion lies in her endeavor to combine jazz with various genres from around the world, such as flamenco, Cuban music, Brazilian music, and certain types of Middle Eastern music. So awesome. Although she was born in Miami, Florida, she grew up in Brunswick, Maine,
yeah.
where she had the opportunity to gain diverse experience over the years working as a keyboardist for regional musical theater productions, accompanying choirs and instrumentalists, as a cocktail jazz pianist in restaurants and beyond. She holds a BA from a little old college called Harvard University and is currently pursuing a master's in flamenco music performance at the Escuela de Música Creativa in Madrid, Spain. Kyra, thank you so much for being here. Welcome again to the It's Music Time podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. Thanks.
Anything we didn't get that is about you? I mean, this is a pretty beautiful summary that you sent us, but anything you wanted to add about what you're up to?
Ooh, add on. I don't know. I guess, well, yeah, since I wrote that, I guess that's kind of like, that's pretty much how I would like to describe myself at this point. Anyway, but yeah, sorry, I'm not answering the question very well. Maybe I just need to say, no, there's nothing I need to add right now, I guess. So.
Beautiful.
Sure.
Okay.
So Kyra, in 2017, you were named the National Young Arts Foundation merit winner in jazz piano.
Woo!
And it's my understanding that this award really opened some doors for you to study and train under some really accomplished jazz musicians. And then you also recently had a gig performing as a pianist and running the theatrical production of Clue, the musical.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah, which is one of my favorite films.
Me too.
Absolutely love Tim Curry in all forms. And I became aware of your talents by way of your appearance on the Night Show with which your performance blew me away. I just had Morgan check it out before we came on.
Speechless, honestly.
Yeah, I was also really exhausted just watching you get after it. I'm like, oof.
It's so awe-inspiring. Like, whoa.
Thank you.
I can't wait for listeners to hear and see your work, because it's just other.
Thank you so much.
So
amazing.
We have a few questions. Number one, was it Colonel Mustard in the study with the candlestick? But more importantly, what's this journey been like for you, and how would you describe the blueprint for becoming this in-demand global jazz fusion entity that you aspire to be?
Okay, well, let's see. I think I'm still working on the second question. I don't know if I have a good answer for myself for that yet either, but I'll try to come up with something. Okay, in terms of the first question, was it Colonel Mustard or something about the Clue? It was so weird. I never watched the movie, or I think I only played the board game like once or something. So I think I was going into that and I didn't really know what was going on stage. I was just kind of playing the piano like I usually do, I guess. And I don't know. And so, but yeah, the ending, I think it was kind of everyone or something, right? Is that how this works? I don't know.
No, that's correct.
That sounds right.
So yeah, I know the movie really well. And I actually, the first time I saw it was in my own high school drama class, in preparation for a murder mystery dinner. I had one line in that.
Nice, yeah.
But they shot multiple endings of that movie at the time. It came out in 1985, and depending on which theater you went to, you got a different ending. But then when they released it,
that's so cool. Okay.
Yeah. When they released it on VHS, they put out all the endings all together. So I know the musical is that how the musical is? Like, you don't know?
Well, I don't know. Well, we didn't have different options of endings, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I think our version was less like complicated, maybe. That sounds bad, but it was just, it was just a play that, they did the same way every time, and I don't know. Yeah, so nothing too fancy like that, but
Sure.
Love it.
Yeah. I know.
Love it.
So maybe how about this? Talk a little bit, because I'm sure our listeners are unfamiliar with even the idea of what global jazz fusion is.
Yeah.
So can you kind of describe what that is?
Yeah, and I put it around, or in quotes, in my written thing, and that's why, I don't know, when you guys were saying it, I was kind of like, yeah, like global jazz fusion, because even the word jazz isn't, like, a lot of people don't use that, and, for very good reasons, but, so, and it could also mean anything under the sun in some ways, and then global also could mean anything also, right? So, I don't know, for me, I guess I use that term just to, what am I trying to say? I guess I would like to play jazz that also draws inspiration from other parts of the world as well, like all the places that I mentioned. Cuba, I've always loved listening to Cuban music, flamenco now, and the piece that you guys will play at the end of this episode. That was kind of the first like flamenco jazz piece that I had ever heard, and I didn't even know what it was when I came across it the first time, but then I became kind of obsessed with it, and then wanted to figure out, or find out what it even was, and anyway, and then that helped me discover this whole this whole genre of like flamenco jazz fusion as another subset. And then also, as I was saying, so Cuba, flamenco, Cuban music, flamenco, Brazilian music too. And then, yeah, certain types of Middle Eastern music. I think I said something like that. And that, I mean, I know the least about that stuff right now. I would love to study that in more depth and actually like sort of know what I'm talking about. But I guess by that, I mean, artists like Avishai Cohen, I don't know, Shai Maestro, yeah, a lot of musicians who happen to be from Israel, but who live in New York, who've spent many years in New York. I don't know. For some reason, I gravitate towards those sounds too. And actually, maybe later in the episode, maybe I can kind of explain why I think I'm like drawn to some of these sounds based off of things that I was listening to when I was a kid. But anyway, and yeah, so I guess for me, what does global jazz fusion mean? I guess I feel like there are a lot of my favorite musicians to listen to have become people who are knowledgeable about all of these different traditions because they've like played music of that come from these different places, like alongside the people who are from these different places. So I don't know, it's hard to describe, and I'm doing a really poor job at it, I think. But yeah. Okay, does that make any sense?
A lot of sense, you know, and I think that what you alluded to is really fascinating in terms of how you develop an ear and a taste for something. So like, what were some of the artists that you were listening to when you were younger, and how does that influence what you're drawn to now?
Yeah, so since I was born in Miami, because my dad's a professional trombonist. That's what he's done his whole life, and he's from Miami. But we moved to Maine when I was like 2 years old because my mom's from Maine, and we liked the idea of being around nature and, you know, kind of a quieter lifestyle and that whole thing. But anyway, my dad, kind of the greatest height of my dad's career kind of happened mostly in Miami, like recording for a lot of Cuban artists or people, I don't know, in like Latin artists. So a lot of the time that means music that's inspired by Cuban music or like is directly Cuban music. Anyway, so kind of randomly when I was, I think 5 or something like that, we were already in Maine, but for some reason my dad burned me a copy of this CD that he had recently played on. And I mean, I'm not even sure why necessarily, because I didn't really listen to everything that he played on, you know. It was just whatever I might like pull out of the closet or something randomly. But yeah, for whatever reason, he burned me this copy it was Celia Cruz tribute album. But I mean, I didn't know that back then, but he just wrote Kyra's Maruja on it because the artist's name was Maruja. That was her stage name. Anyway, but yeah, so I listened to that like obsessively growing up. And like, I mean, I didn't know what they were saying. I didn't speak Spanish. My dad doesn't speak Spanish, like whatever. But I was just obsessed with, I think, mostly the rhythm. Like I've always been drawn mostly to, or kind of felt rhythm the most, I think, if that makes sense, out of all the different like facets of musical performance. But yeah, so I guess that would be the Cuban part of it. Listening to that and then like eventually realizing what it was, and yeah. Anyway, and then the other types of music like flamenco and even some types of like Arabic or Middle Eastern music or music from Israel or all these things, which are all sort of like connected anyway. If there are musicians watching, then they'll probably know what the Phrygian mode is, for example. And a lot of flamenco is very based in that mode, as are a lot of these types of music from different parts of the Middle East. Anyway, and so I never really listened to like the root or like the, you know, the purest forms of those music growing up, but another job that my dad had at one point as a musician, another gig of his was to play with Yanni, who's a Greek keyboardist with long hair. Like people, I don't know, maybe whatever older generations will kind of remember him a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm aware of Yanni.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, and that's a very like commercialized version of some of this stuff, but when I listened to some of, like, for example, they did this live concert event in the early 2000s or something like that. I don't know. Because I remember when they came to Portland, Maine, in the early 2000s, kind of like right after my family moved to Maine. I remember we went and saw them in Portland, and I was probably only like 3 or something, 4, I don't know. But I do remember going, you know, I mean, and anyway, when I listened to that record, for example, from that concert, that tour that he was doing, I hear a lot of this Phrygian stuff, like you know, certain songs that have sections that are in a Phrygian mode, or like, I don't know, there are some Armenian instruments on there, actually. A great Venezuelan saxophonist, he plays the Armenian, I'm probably gonna say it wrong, I think it was duduk or something like that, this super old Armenian instrument. I think it's D-U-D-U-K, maybe. That's embarrassing if I get it wrong, but whatever. People, if you're interested, like, maybe people will look it up later, but anyway, yeah, so I think maybe like having the opportunity to, what am I trying to say? I don't know, the fact that that seeing whatever my dad and all of these other musicians perform that concert live in like whatever, a huge stadium and all that, when I was just 3 years old, maybe like subconsciously in my mind, it was kind of like, wow, like this is my version of, like, these are the rock stars, you know, like this is what it is to be a rock star. And like, I mean, and not that I equate or associate like music with needing to be a rock star or something like that, but like it just had a great importance, right? Like I think subconsciously something like that happened. I mean, and I think I just like the music, like the sounds anyway, and maybe it's just because I heard it for the first time when I was so young, something like that.
Sure,
if that makes any sense. And maybe after I just said all that, it might make more sense in terms of why I'm interested in this kind of like sub-sect or sub-genre or whatever of the jazz world, in which people are interested in music from around the world and, you know, want to see what the different ways are that these different traditions can kind of like coexist in the same song or on the same album or on the same stage or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, and there are a lot of people who do things like this. But you know, so I would love to be a member of that community someday, you know.
So good. I have no doubt that you will be, and you kind of, you know, already are in so many ways. And I always think it is very fascinating to think about these influences that shape our taste and honestly life course, and how that can be somewhat literal, and sometimes it can be a little mysterious, like why something grabbed you and why something didn't. The next section of our podcast is sort of about that in some ways. It's called the deep cut, and it's about sounds. This particular question is about sounds that kind of move us. But because we're moving into the spooky season of sort of Halloween, it's, you know, pretty close here. We want to explore from you to get curious about what songs or even sounds are scary to us. So like, it could be something like sharp or shrieking or jarring or moody. It could be something eerie or haunting, or completely like off kilter or unexpected. But to you, and you can take a second to think about it if you need to, but like what sounds are sort of destabilizing, scary, spooky, haunting to you? Sounds or music?
Okay, sorry, I'll take a few more seconds to like actually come up with a good response, but the very first thing that came to mind was like when I'm practicing something and it's like awful, or like when I play like on the piano and it's like, why did I just do that? Like making a mistake or something like that. It's maybe oh, this is what when I was playing Clue, because I had never I had never played in like a musical theater setting before when I was only instrumentalist. But I was for Clue because it was really just a play with like underscoring. But yeah, that was scary. Like when there were a couple times when I made a mistake on the overture and I was by myself and it's the first thing that opens the whole show. And it's like, that's a scary sound to me. But no, that's a joke. That's not a good answer. But I don't know. Okay, actual scary sounds. Do they have to be music related or just
no, not at all. Okay. If you want, I can take the lead on this.
What do you think?
So for me, when I was thinking of like what's jarring, what's frightening to me, I vividly remember being a kid, and I actually still feel this way as an adult, going to like a local Memorial Day parade, and then the fire trucks are in vision, they're in sight about a mile away, and you hear that horn, and that horn scares the crap out of me. It's just like alarming. I want nothing to do with fire trucks. I respect firemen. They, provide a great service. But let's do something about those horns.
Let's figure it out.
So for me, it was horns.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, how about you, Morgan?
So one that came to mind is like, it's funny because sometimes things can be scary, but also kind of endearing too. Like this is one of those, like we have this juvenile barred owl in our backyard. We live in the woods and it's this baby owl and it has this like very kind of eerie and yet adorable shriek that happens. And we didn't know what it was. It sounded like an animal in distress for a while. And then we figured out what it was, and it became this kind of cute thing because we saw this beautiful little being face, and we thought it was adorable. Cool. But prior to that, it was quite haunting. And the other one would be, this is like such a tacky answer, but when I was little, we would have like Halloween was a really big deal in my family, so we would like do the house all up and there would be lights and there would be music. There would be soundtracks. We had this porch and people would come up to the top of the hill to come trick-or-treating. And we had like this music and like, it was pretty scary. Like it was like creaking and howling and shrieking. And so like, that's some scary stuff.
Did you ever do like a haunted house growing up? Yeah, we had that.
Chainsaws.
So we had my sister's birthday is around Halloween, and she used to have friends over, and we would do a little haunted house, and we had an album of like Halloween music or whatever that we play. And my parents would go down in the basement and like bang on the floor to make it seem like there were strangers in the house.
That's such a good idea.
A lot of that growing up. But yeah, I want to throw it back to you, Kyra. Any other?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I'm kind of stalling here. Well, okay, now that we're talking about music, or when you mentioned the Halloween soundtrack thing, I don't know, I thought of, this is embarrassing, I can't remember the name exact, but it's this organ piece, I think in D minor, that it's, I'm pretty sure it's Bach. I'm pretty sure Bach was the composer, but I don't know, I just remember growing up, I don't know, the organist at the church that my family used to attend sometimes, he would always play that, whatever Sunday it was before Halloween or something like that. And it was scary. I don't know. There's a real correlation there. I mean, it's funny thinking, why do we correlate certain things with certain types of music with being scary or whatever, but I don't know. I think it fit. It was kind of cool. I should look that up after to see what
it's so true. I find like when I want to get in the spooky spirit, I listen to Baltic organ music. Like from the like around the. That's so like really. I went on like a deep dive through Spotify one time because I was looking for kind of creepy ambient background music for a kind of Halloween event I was putting on, or like that type of year, All Hallows, and this like Baltic organ music, it really did it for me. So if you're ever looking.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. Nice.
Cool. We're going to get into our Mixing Up playlist that accompanies every episode. But before we do that, I just wanted to kind of circle back to what you're doing in Spain.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I never answered that. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
You're going to school and you're pursuing a master's in flamenco music. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I want to give you a chance just to talk a little bit about that, but then also, beyond school, like what kind of projects do you have either in mind or maybe even already lined up for yourself?
Okay, yeah. So, yep. So next thing is doing this master's in Madrid, focusing on flamenco music performance. And yeah, I guess regarding that, like, okay, because a lot of people who are familiar with flamenco might kind of say, oh, that's kind of weird that there's a master's degree about that. Like, I mean, because flamenco is a folk music really from the Gitano communities of Andalusia, mostly. And I mean, but sorry, this is, I'm going to go on a tangent here, but a lot of historians who focus on flamenco still don't entirely know its origins. I mean, definitely the Gitano communities in Andalusia are kind of where it coalesced the most, but there are a lot of influences from like Arabic music or even Sephardic music, like Sephardic Jewish music, and like music from Morocco and even some types of like European folk music, and they say that was all kind of like in there. And maybe that's just kind of me trying to add that on to what I was saying before about like global jazz fusion, kind of like seeing how these different styles of music are kind of all related on a certain level, maybe, like whatever, kind of seeing how there are ways that they can be fused. Anyway, but to get back to the master's degree part of it, for me, like this, it's kind of a perfect opportunity for me to come back with a student visa to pursue this degree instead of like just trying to move to somewhere in Andalusia just to learn more from private teachers, which actually, I'm not sure if I said this in the night show interview or if you guys are aware, but I actually lived in Madrid last year as well, like before the summer. I was back in Maine this summer working musical theater, but I lived in Madrid through a grant that I got from Harvard after graduation to learn about flamenco music and flamenco jazz and all of that privately with private teachers. But anyway, since my grant ended and I felt like I wanted to come back because I feel like this is the kind of the best place for me to keep growing in the ways that I want to grow right now. I found out about this program and it seemed like a perfect way for me to get a student visa. Plus, I'm like kind of downplaying it, but I mean, the faculty members are a lot of my favorite musicians to listen to. And actually one of the pianists on faculty is someone whose album I kind of just like randomly came across like several years ago on Apple Music or whatever it was. Like somehow it came up, and again, back then I didn't know what it was, but I was just listening to it a lot because I loved it. And then then it's kind of funny years later, thinking of how I might be able to get back to Spain, and then I see he's on faculty there, and anyway, so I guess those are all reasons why I wanted to come back. Oh, and a lot of the faculty members, a lot of them are from Andalusia, but a lot of them are very involved in this like flamenco, jazz, Cuban music fusion community that I think is super vibrant here in Madrid. And that was another reason that's kind of a main reason why I feel like this is the best place for me to keep growing right now, because of all the Cuban musicians who live here, and a lot of them, like I just said, are kind of doing this like sort of niche thing that I was trying to describe earlier in terms of like fusing different genres of music and that whole thing. So that is the master's degree part of it. I think. What was the rest? I already forget.
I think we were just curious, once you're through school and you obtain this degree, what kind of, projects do you aspire to work on, or maybe you already are in the process of something?
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely I've been saying this to myself for a while, but I would definitely love to have like a demo CD or EP of mine come out at some point after I feel like I've learned enough about the different traditions that I'm studying to like put together some songs. I don't know, and like have more originals that are inspired by some of these styles. So I still feel like I'm in the process of studying all of those things before I want to try to like have my own version of it or like have a certain interpretation of it that's recorded. But anyway, to answer the question, maybe like at the end of this master's degree, that could be a nice opportunity to really get serious about putting that together. Because I mean, just in terms of logistics, like I know we'll have a final recording project at the end of the degree and all of that. And I guess right now I'm kind of hoping that some of that may be able to be used on an album or EP or whatever it ends up being, but just kind of have a snapshot of like, you know, where I am right now in terms of learning about these things and hopefully getting myself out there a little bit more. Not just like for like whatever my album like for me, but just like to be able to collaborate with other musicians more. And I mean that's a more immediate goal, really. Like hopefully you know, different students in this program will be interested in collaborating or introducing me to other people who may want to collaborate and whatever, just get little gigs or whatever, or play at different festivals hopefully, or something like that. Like I feel like that's kind of the next step, is to get out there. You know, I mean, I don't know. I like practicing a lot, like, and just learning about things. But I mean, the ultimate goal really is to play, I guess, with people. And I would like to have my own project eventually too. But you know, that's kind of it.
It sounds like
Love it.
It sounds like you're in a really good think tank to let us all kind of marinate and come to formation. And I have no doubt that, you know, we're going to get a great EP and probably beyond. And, you know, when Kyra Teboe is playing at Carnegie Hall, we're there.
We'll be there.
Thanks. Thank you. That's interesting, funny thought, but thank you though. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we are going to get into our Mix It Up playlist, which will accompany this episode, as they accompany all of our episodes. We've asked Kyra to submit 4 songs. I've submitted 4, and Morgan has. And we're going to add your birthday song, independent to that. So that'll make
great. Okay.
But yeah, so Kyra, what's one of the songs that you might want to kind of highlight?
Which one? Okay. Sorry, because I'm looking at my list again now, and it was also just hard for me to pick only 4, right? But especially because when I say all of the different things about like the different types of music I'm interested in, and people are like, they probably think I'm nuts, and like, but actually, okay, would it be possible for me to do a quick thing about all 4 of them, like super fast, or because this might help like explain things a little bit more. So the first one is Mantrería by Chano Domínguez, and it's a bulería that he composed. But I mean, and it's like flamenco jazz more or less. So he improvises a lot in the middle, but he's collaborating with I don't know, one of the greatest flamenco percussionists named Piranha. That's his stage name. Anyway, sorry, this is going on too long already. But anyway, this is the first track off of Piano Ibérico, which is the album that first drew my attention to flamenco jazz. And again, like I was saying, I didn't know it was that then, but eventually I just figured that out. And yeah, and the piece that will be featured at the end of this episode, I guess, my performance is my interpretation of that. So that I play Chano's melody, and then I improvise, and then I end with his melodies again. So that's that. So flamenco jazz, I guess. But okay, now I'll go to the next one. Playa del Sábado by Enriquito, who is, I don't know, kind of the and at least in my mind, kind of the main like trumpet player who is really involved in the flamenco jazz community here in Madrid. But I chose this song because it starts off kind of like flamenco, but you can hear the Cuban influence here by the end of the song. It's like it turns into Cuban style. So I thought this would be a good selection to demonstrate how those two styles, like certain palos of flamenco, it goes, I don't know, can be combined with Cuban music super well. Because actually there were some types of flamenco, like some certain palos, like subgenres of flamenco that were directly inspired by Cuban music, or like other types of music from Latin America. So yeah, so it's not like totally random. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. The third one, Noches Noches La Luz by Avishai Cohen, that has more of this like Middle Eastern influence that I was talking about, but the lyrics are in Spanish. And I want to research the song more to find out what it actually is, but it's off of an album of his that has quite a few songs that are in the language Ladino, which maybe you guys know, it was the language that Sephardic Jews spoke in Spain. Right, I mean, Sephardic Jews spoke in Spain until 1492 about. And so, yeah, a lot of the songs on that same record it's like Sephardic songs, which I find really interesting in terms of listening to possible ways that those musical traditions might have influenced flamenco and all. Yeah, and so I think it's interesting that this particular song has lyrics in Spanish, and I don't know, I just kind of want to look into that some more. But anyway, that just kind of ties the Middle Eastern part of it into it. And then the fourth one is Loro, and this is a Brazilian song actually, and it was one that I don't know, I've loved listening to that tune for a long time. It's a Baião, I believe, but this particular version was recorded live at this one jazz club. It's probably, I don't know, one of my favorite jazz clubs here in Madrid. And this version features a flamenco guitarist also. So you get this like flamenco Brazilian kind of fusion there. So I don't know, I tried to pick those 4 songs just to like kind of show all of the different things that I'm interested in, and how, you know, there are people who study all these different things and collaborate with people from these different places and are able to like create something, I don't know, beautiful, whatever, for lack of a better word, you know. So that's just kind of a snapshot of like, you know, what I'm checking out these days.
Sure, well, we think it's great.
So good to hear.
And that's really the whole point of these playlists, are to illuminate our listeners on different styles of music. And every guest that we bring on, they come at it from a different angle. So to get your perspective is like really, really, you know, refreshing for both of us. Otherwise, like, you know, I know for me, I don't want to speak on Morgan's behalf, I probably wouldn't check out flamenco music. I didn't even know that was a thing until so no, thank you for the information. Morgan, what song do you want to highlight?
Sure. I want to highlight, the entire album, Solo in Rio, by Luis Bonfa, is like one of my favorite albums.
Nice. Okay. And, I know. Sorry, I've got to. I'll write that down for later. Yeah.
Yeah. His work is so beautiful. And the song that I chose is called Pernambuco. And I have to look up what it means. To be honest, I don't know what it means. But it's just got this kind of like, when you talked about rhythm, that is like so key for his work. Like he has this really particular way of dealing with rhythm that almost feels like relaxed in a way. It's like sauntering. It'll sort of like speed up and then slow down, and then kind of he plays with gaps a lot and does some whistling. Like just a really stunning creator. So anyway, that's what I chose. What about you, Tanner?
So I want to talk about an electronic artist who goes by Caribou. He also goes by Daphne. His name is Dan Snaith. He's from Ontario, I believe. And actually, one of our previous guests, Ben Shepherd, Yee, who is has our theme song for us, he knows Dan Snaith personally and is been influenced by him as well. But he has a new song out called "Come Find Me," and a new album that's coming out on October 4th called "Honey." But I've been listening to Caribou for, I want to say at least 10 years. He's been putting together work since the year 2000. And it's just, I don't know, I'm kind of drawn to electronic music in a lot of ways. It's very clubby, very dancey, a little hypnotic. It makes you almost want to, drop some psychedelics and go to a nightclub. But the song itself is, I think it's a banger, and I think he does a great job. So check out "Come Find Me" by Caribou.
Super. This playlist is going to be so much fun to listen to. I've been having the best time listening to these playlists, and I loved all this kind of constellation and grouping of choices that you shared with us, and to see the narrative, sort of connecting all of them is really fun, and it'll be neat to listen to other things sprinkled in too. Gosh, well, we're almost at the end of our episode, if you can believe it. But I did want to take a minute just to kind of plug the socials, as in talk about where people can find you. I know we have you on Instagram at Kyra Teboe Piano. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then your email, similarly, the Kyra Teboe Piano@gmail.com. If someone listens to this episode and said, "Oh my gosh, I would love to work with this person or collaborate with you or something." And then any other places or platforms you'd like people to check out your work?
I guess not right now, really. I mean, hopefully, I don't know, someday, hopefully on streaming services, but I can't say that right now. So, maybe YouTube, maybe I'll start doing more stuff there. I don't know. I think it's just Kyra Teboe Piano also. I don't know.
Great.
But yeah, mainly, I guess, Instagram. I don't know.
And Instagram is wonderful too. We were both hypnotized by your performances, and just being able to see a bit of a window into your work and really see you play. Because it's one thing to listen, but it's another thing to see you actually play. So I'm really encouraging listeners to spend some time on that page and really enjoy the performance that we will share. But let's see. So the It's Music Time podcast, just for listeners who may be new, you can find us at the It's Music Time podcast on Instagram and YouTube.
And don't touch that dial, as we've all alluded to throughout the episode. We're going to have an encore performance of Mantrería by Chano Domínguez, performed by Kyra Teboe. And I would really encourage our listeners to, if you're listening on Spotify, go to YouTube and see the video.
Oh my God.
Because it will blow your mind. Check that out.
It's like nothing I've ever seen before, seriously. So that kind of wraps our episode, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of our little music hearts over here that you took time to chat with us and share your genius. It's a huge privilege to get a window into your world, and we're so excited to follow your journey and learn from you and be graced by your musical excellence. Such a thing to play music with such level of skill. I believe from such a very young age you've been playing piano. Is that true?
Yeah, not with the same level of skill, but I started when I was, I think, 5 or 6, something like that. Yeah, and then sorry, I know we're at the end. Never mind. Started when I was 6.
It's amazing. I mean, I always have such respect for someone who follows a skill or a craft or a passion from such a young age and builds influences up into adulthood. And it's just really reflected in your performances. So thank you again. Thank you. And listeners, thank you for listening. Thanks for being a part of this It's Music Time journey. Just a little shout out, give us feedback, give us a comment, ask a question. We love engaging with anything that listeners are up to. And share, of course, with this podcast and this conversation and Kyra's brilliance with a friend. We appreciate your support. And until next time, listeners, stay cooler than cool. Goodbye for now. Kyra, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Music Time podcast is an independent passion project produced by Tanner Grover and Morgan Mitchell. The theme song for this podcast is by Ben Shepherd, the artist known as Yay Yay. Find him on Instagram at Yay Yay Music. Thanks for tuning in to the It's Music Time podcast. See you next time.